tap, tap in. Tap, 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 tap, tap in. Welcome to TT from the D Tap In Tuesday. I'm your girl TT from the D, and I want to thank you for stopping by on this Tap In Tuesday. This is a pre-recorded show done for you so that we can make sure we stay according to our schedule to meet and greet you for our Tap In Tuesday special edition. Tonight we're going to talk about you are not broken, you are a survivor. In light of and in honor of and in respect of all of my survivors across the globe, no matter where you are. I have listeners, of course, here in the United States. TT from the D Podcast Show. We have listeners in Bahrain, Philippines. We're going to run them off for you. Canada, Ireland, Italy, Puerto Rico, United Kingdom, India, Saudi Arabia, the Netherlands, Australia, Romania, Russia, Germany, Denmark, Switzerland, Mexico, Egypt, Brazil, and recently I have a listener or two, 3 or 4 in Guam. Can y'all believe that? Guam? What? When I tell you, I'm super excited. I'm super excited. And that's just the demographics and the platforms that I can see geographically through Anchor and Spotify. So I'm super excited. I'm very aware that, ladies and gentlemen, you could have tuned in, logged on any podcast because there's several podcasts out here. I'm a podcast listener of folks, and I get links sent to me all the time from my fellow podcasters. And from time to time, I like to check out people's shows and see what's going on, see what they're talking about and things of that nature. And with that being said, I'm very aware that you have allowed me to come into your car or come into your home, and I am super, super excited about that. I'm also aware that we are streaming not only on Spotify and Anchor.fm, but we're also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Amazon Music. I didn't even know we were over there. I've made it to iHeartRadio, ladies and gentlemen. I'm like, no way. I've made it to iHeartRadio. I got to find out more about that. I'll share more about that when I get the opportunity. I think that I now have been extended the opportunity to have my show on Amazon Music as well as iHeartRadio. And that's a big deal. I know that I've been on CastBox. I'm not familiar with CastBox or Pocket Cast. I know that I'm there. Radio Public, I've been rocking with them. I am new to Stitcher. I don't know much about that, but I will put you up on it. I am just shouting that out because that's huge. That's huge for me. I'm humbled by it. I don't want to be emotional about it, but I remember when I didn't have a listener except my husband and my family. And when I say my family, my extended family, the Christinas and the Courtneys and Melanies, Shawnetta. These are people that I know for a fact were listening up front initially, like just supporting me, encouraging me, and rooting me on. My husband, day one, always supporting and rooting me on. And so to know that my audience has grown, it's something, it's something. I'm grateful. Shout out to Jervis Canty, who is my podcast mentor. He doesn't like when I say that, but he actually taught me how to do this as far as coming to you visually, And that was after doing an interview with him. I was super excited about doing an interview with him. And it was like, oh my God, like, when he asked me if I had thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, I thought about it, but I don't know how, and I'm not ready, and all that's going on. But I'm super excited. Shout out to Beth on her Grammy nominated album, Get to Know Me. I'm super excited about that. Whew, she's doing a thing tomorrow. That's why I won't be going live tomorrow for my show, and I'm pre-recording for you tonight, which is, super exciting because of the topic. But I'm going to have the pleasure of interviewing Beth next Tuesday for Tap In Tuesday. So you don't want to miss that show, ladies and gentlemen. She'll be on. We'll be talking about her new music, her becoming a Grammy nominated artist from the D. And we've had plenty, okay, yes, but this is just phenomenal. The work that she's put in, that Courtney's put in, that Marcus Devine has put in, that the team Beth has put in, just everything. But it really starts with the artist, and that is Beth. And she's an amazing artist, full of grace, talented, just all around amazing person. So I'm not only honored, but I'm very excited about having her come on. She's been jet setting around the globe, doing amazing things with amazing people. And the work is paying off for her. So tonight's hot topic, we're going to talk about you are not broken. You are a survivor. And I got full of my spirit thinking about this. There's so much to tap into and unpeel and, to kind of get you to understand. And I'm not, as pastors say, I'm not going to be before you long. I'm not going to hold you long. I'm probably telling a story. I'm probably going to hold you for a while. But when we talk about being a survivor, what does that look like? Who am I talking to? October is here and it's going to be gone before you know it. There's something happening every single day that takes your mind away from working with, supporting, encouraging, and building up and uplifting survivors for cancer, survivors for domestic violence, celebrating women entrepreneurs. This is supposed to be all of this wrapped into this 1 month. We have 31 days in October, okay? And you can't possibly put all these things in here. But I wanted to remind not only you, the listener, the viewer, but even myself, that everybody is a survivor of something, of some situation, of some circumstance. What does that look like to you? I don't really know. But as the older people used to tell me when I was growing up, they said, baby, just keep living. You'll see. Because a lot of things, as you grow, you don't understand when the older and wiser elders would tell you some things we didn't really understand. And then you would hear a wise person say, just keep living. And I got real full in my spirit as I have my morning prayer routine. I head to work, and we don't know what tomorrow may bring. I often think about, hallelujah, I often think about people that don't make it back home. The unfinished business, right? If you go through a loved one or a friend or somebody's calendar that passed away, it could be fresh days, weeks, months, a year. And you'll see a lot of times, because I know I write out things, right? And we plan. There's nothing wrong with planning. I don't want you to stop planning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. But we plan things, whether it's vacations or outings, getaways, meetings, whatever it is, we plan. A lot of us tend to plan, but we don't know about the unfinished business. And I'm going to do an episode on that called Unfinished Business. But I was full this morning, and I just, in the midst of my praise and worship, I thought about the young lady here in Michigan that was found on the freeway, 17 years old. And I murdered, like someone shot her and threw her out, disregarded her like she wasn't a human being. No matter what that young lady, to some people, no matter what, people be like, well, what did she do? Why she have to do anything? Right? Some people might say, ain't nobody just gonna shoot nobody and just do it. Really? That's not true. But to just think, I was trying to wrap my head around it. Like, that's a baby, right? Even if it was somebody her age that did it. What? So I thought, like, my Lord, when that baby got in that car, or, we don't know what goes through a person's mindset when you're in a fight for your life mode, or you feel like, my God, my life is getting ready to come to an end. The fear. I was full. And then I thought about victims, you know, the people that are just getting to sleep as I'm driving into work from a long night of arguing with someone, or being beaten, or getting ready to get off work and go home to that. I thought about the people who are getting ready for their treatment. There's battling cancer. There's waiting on that report. Um, Hoping something works for them. How we drop our kids off. Every day we're a survivor. That the person who's been clean for a week, a month, a year, or more, they're survivors. But really, what really got me was the domestic violence, because I'm a child survivor. I learned through counseling, right? That I'm a child survivor because my mother was a victim of domestic violence, right? And I think about my mother, love her. She crazy, right? But I love her. She's awesome. And I think about what she endured. I witnessed. It's not speculation. It's not hearsay. If you weren't in those four walls of any of the homes that I lived in throughout my childhood, then you wouldn't know my story. There's nothing like being a survivor, no matter what level it's at. And I often tell people we have a story. Okay. My mother's story is hers to tell, but she'll probably never tell it. Somewhere along the line, survivors have been shamed, or they suppress it. And it's like, I didn't live that. You hear their side of the story, and they're always, well, I stood up and I did. They don't talk to you. They don't talk to you about the bruises that healed up. They don't talk to you about the bruises that you can't see. And I thought, like, my God, and I just went into praise and worship, right? And I used to tell myself, if I could survive this, and I've survived a lot of different things, situations and circumstances, not just the domestic violence household, but just things, situations that I know it wasn't none but God. And me listening to that thing inside of me, right? That say, don't do that. Don't go there. Don't trust that. Don't drink that. Don't go with them. And I'm like, when we think about being a victim, nobody want to say, I was a victim. Some might say, I am a survivor. But in order to be a survivor, you had to have been a victim. and you have a story. And I was that child wondering why my mother wouldn't leave a relationship where you're fighting someone you love. You know they love you, but how do you love someone and you put your hands on them, or you're verbally abusing them, or you're mentally abusing them, or you're spiritually abusing them? There's so many levels of abuse. It's unreal. But when you hear the word domestic violence, you feeling like it's all physical, and it's not. It's not all physical. And I really got the education with that and understanding better while I was in school working on my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I had to go through a lot of different classes, and I learned a lot of things. And although I'm not in the field doing what I thought I was going to be doing with my degree at this season of life, I've been in education for 24 years. Cool, have nothing. I should have went to college for that. I thought, like, man, I'm in debt because I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be a homicide detective, right? You couldn't have told me I wasn't gonna be no homicide detective. I knew, like, that specific, not just the police officer, a specific. I wanted to specialize in certain things. I did internship down at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. I did for 2 summers. Shout out to I ain't gonna put that person's name out there, but you know who you are. Love you to pieces. You were amazing, a wonderful supervisor. I'll always be grateful to you for all you taught me. I did a few outings with the ATF, right? I really remember going to my very first scene where there was a fire that took place and being able to assess it. And I really was like, oh, yeah, I'm built for this. But God had other plans, right? He had other plans. And so when I think about survivors, victims, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you go through seasons. No matter what you went through, God saw fit, you saw fit, you said, I'm going to survive this. You can watch at any given time stories, men and women. So let's be clear. Let me clear up something that's a myth. I didn't realize this as I became a grown woman, that it's not just women who are victims and become survivors. There are men that become survivors that were women. I mean, that were victims, I'm sorry. And my very first time hearing a man in person admit that he was in an abusive relationship is when I went and I did a walk in Southfield, Michigan. I walked on behalf of my friend Tamika daughter, Jasmine. Call her Jazz. Beautiful young lady who lost her life to domestic violence while she was on college campus, and you send your kids off to do great things. You feel like, if I can survive the hood and you do this, just to have their life taken by an aggressor, right? And it goes both ways, as I said. But I heard this young man while we were out there, and if they do it again in 2023, or I'll be there. I'm excited. I will represent and walk for her. But I felt like I walked for the people who are still on earth. There's a lot of people, more women than men, that hide. You hide from your truth. But I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and my ladies, really, ladies, you don't heal from hiding from your truth. In order to heal and move past, get through, as you heal mentally and emotionally and spiritually and physically, you have to look yourself in the mirror and own your truth. Some of you need counseling. Some of you need a support system, a real support system. I want to share some things with you guys. I'm just going to tap into some things, and I'm gonna let you go. I'm not going to hold you long, but They said a survivor is someone who was once a victim that lives through situations and circumstances time and time again until they realize that they don't want to do it anymore. You could tell someone to leave an abusive relationship. You could tell someone to leave drugs alone because they have an addiction and they're a victim of their circumstances, situation, right? But until they're ready, they're not going anywhere. They're not going to leave that man. They're not going to leave that woman. They're not going to stop going to the drug dealer or the supplier until they're done. What does that mean? Oftentimes, more than not, we don't always have a good outcome. In the cases of cancer survivors, it's a different battle, but it's still a battle. I've known some people who wanted to give up on life, didn't want to do chemo one more day. Someone I love very dearly, I feel, gave up on life and just didn't have it in her anymore. Didn't want to do the poking and the prodding and all the things that came with it. Then when your body is tired, I can only imagine that part. Sorry. But for those that strive every day to just win the day, it's like little marathons. And we often say, I got your back. What you need, let me know. And I feel that sometimes you might feel, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to stop people, But I'm going to say to you, if you're a victim, and even if you're a survivor, because even survivors still need counseling support systems, I think survivors will always need a support group. I think victims will always need a support group. And even when you're winning, think about a great marathon runner. They train. A lot of times they train on their own because, well, they have a team, of course. They have a team, but it's you that's running. It's you that's working out. It's you that's lifting. It's you that's changing your lifestyle. You got people rooting you on. And sometimes they're busy and they can't come out with you. That don't mean you stop training. But everybody can use a good support system in every facet of life. A survivor is someone who has survived and copes well with the traumatic, tragic, troubling, terrorizing, torturing, and tormenting difficulties in his or her life. And they have become a person who remained alive after an event in which they felt they survived because others have died. We don't know your story half the time. And even when you tell your story, it moves us. The listener, the viewer. I was out having dinner the other night with one of my sister friends, Yoshana, and we met this beautiful young lady at the little bar area we were eating at. Kind, beautiful spirit. And she ended up just asking us our opinion on something. And when I heard the story that she shared, I don't know her or the relative she was speaking of, but all I knew is I felt like I needed to help. I wanted to get involved and help. When I saw the photos that she was willing to share, we didn't ask, she shared openly. That was me knowing when I got home and I prayed and I thought, who knew she was going to run into us at this restaurant? Who knew we would have this conversation? We didn't. A lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, your story Your cry out for help is heard by people that care when you choose to share. A lot of times we don't know what's going on in people's households. Back in my day growing up, it was that you don't talk about what's going on in this house, right? House of horror, house of pain, house of trauma. I used to laugh and say, I'm surprised I ain't somewhere rocking in the corner crazy or fearful. My nerves used to be real bad, though. I used to didn't like when people raise their voice and none of that, right? They have different triggers. But I knew one thing I wasn't going to have was someone beating on me. Can't. I watched The Burning Bed too many times growing up as a kid. It is what it is. I used to think, it's one thing as a parent when we spank our kids. It's a whole nother when you want to spank your boyfriend, spank your girlfriend, spank your husband, spank your wife. And I ain't talking about S&M type of spanking. I'm talking about beating them. Like you have the right. You're supposed to be that person that's going to love on them, support them, protect them, encourage them, motivate them, not harm them. For the survivors that deal with addictions and things of that, and a victim of your own circumstance, it's hard, no doubt. I don't have the answer for anything except pray, get you in the support system, seek out some help. Don't let nobody tell you that you crazy or don't do that or you gonna ruin their life. What? Anybody that's saying any of that, you need to check your circle. You even got family members that'll do that. You need to check that family member. And let me be clear, just because you share the bloodline with somebody, that don't mean they're good for you or good to you. I have some folks that I consider family that's not on my bloodline, that's closer to me than the ones that's on my bloodline. No shade or disrespect to the ones that's on my bloodline, and I don't think they care anyway what I'm saying. They would care or be bothered, right? Because they're living their best life doing them as I am living mine, doing me. But these are people that I chose or chose me as friends, extended family, people that I'll ride for. And there's a small select few. But I've learned in life we have to live, learn, love, and let go. You survived because you were bruised. You survived because you can be healed. You survived because you have work to do. You survived because you had the will to survive. I think when you hear stories of survivors, cancer survivors, domestic violence survivors, right? Rape survivors, victims of incest. There's so many levels. This world is really, really jacked up. The people in it. Growing up, I thought that I would be protected by family, those that I trust and believed and was in my life. And I should fear the ones outside. But a lot of times I had to fear the ones that was in there, right in my circle, right in my family. And I ain't the only one. I ain't telling the truth that's a pleasant truth, but I'm telling my truth. Well, I got a lie to kick it. People don't like the truth sometimes. Truth hurts, but truth is healing. When you take a moment to look at yourself, of all you've been through, anytime you had to go and get poked and prodded or test ran because you're battling cancer. And you got through it. You didn't want to go, right? You didn't want to go one more time. But you had the will because you're a survivor. You're not broken. Now, some folks that's in domestic violence relationships, survivors or victims currently, you might have suffered a broken arm, broken leg, or worse. And it always really hurts my heart when I see those shows like Snapped and Almost Got Away with It and For My Man and stupid stuff like that. It's reality for somebody, reenacted for us to look at. It's like your life is someone's movie. There's a man, woman, boy, or girl acting out your life, your story. But guess what? A lot of times they survived, and that's how they could tell their story. Everybody don't survive, though. That don't mean that God doesn't love them. I really don't know why some people don't survive outside of we're here for just a moment. I want to play a song with you. And I had the pleasure of playing it on my exclusive one-on-one with Evrock Cassimy. He has some amazing music on his album. And for those of you that know, he's getting ready to relocate. He's having an amazing event right here, The Life of James. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I could do that for you. I want to show it to you, but I don't think, but it's The Life of James. And James is Evrock Cassimy. There's a song. He has a powerful project. This project is powerful. I do want to play this song called Amen. So just sit back and listen to the words and see if they move you.
They say you can't do both. You be up on TV, then singing them songs you wrote. Boy, you better pick one thing, 'cause we ain't trying to hear you sing. I ain't never heard nobody, but time and time again, they try me, If that makes me a bad person, well, maybe you're the one who's hurting. Why you gotta hurt me so good? I will not be misunderstood. I won't let you break me again, 'cause I'm stronger now. Let the church say amen. Sometimes they try to break you down. They see you loving life, well, this is upside down. Listen to me, sometimes it works, but them's the times. I gotta put me first. I ain't never hurt nobody, I am who I am. They can't take that away from me. Look to the one who made you who you are. You're a star, and you're gonna go far. Why you gotta hurt me so good? I will not be misunderstood. I won't let you break me Amen. Stronger now. Let the church say amen. Why you gotta hurt me so good? Why you? I will not be misunderstood. No. Yeah. I won't let you break me. Break me again. 'Cause I'm stronger now. Let the church say amen. Why you gotta hurt me so good? Amen. I will not be misunderstood. I won't let you break me. Break me again. 'Cause I'm stronger now. Let the church say amen. 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 I think
I had to share that. It's one of my favorite songs from The Life of James. And the words is just, as we are survivors and we go after our dreams and we go after our goals, a lot of times people tell you what you can't do, what you shouldn't do, who you not, right? Trying to dictate your life. No matter what you've been through, what you've gone through, nobody really knows your story sometimes. They think they know. So then they want to tell you what you can't do, what you shouldn't do, and who you should be. But it's your right, right? It's your right to be who you're supposed to be. And with that being said, I just thought, like, that song Amen is just something. I really did. I love it. I just want to remind you, as we are talking about you are not broken, you're a survivor. Chase your dreams. Some of you that are survivors have put your dreams to the side because you had to focus on surviving. You have these hidden talents and these skills and these gifts, but you're focused on battling whatever it is you had to battle to get to this very day to day. It was a battle for some of y'all today to rise your head up off that bed, to put your feet on that floor and walk. And I just want to remind somebody to be strong, be fair to yourself. Remember that you have purpose. You are everything that God says you're supposed to be. And maybe you haven't heard him whispering to you how awesome you are, who you're destined to be in this world, at this time, in this season. Being a survivor doesn't excuse the fact that you had to go through some things. Being a victim is never easy for anybody. It's not. It hasn't been. I'm looking forward to doing a show called Victims Testimonies to being a survivor. That's not going to be the title, but I want to talk to some courageous victims who are survivors that were victims, to talk about their triumph and their victory. Because we all have been through some things. I don't care what it is, what level it is. Betrayal and hurt. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just physicalness. We get hurt in a lot of different ways. And often more than not, we don't take the time to heal. We don't heal. I was reading, here's one that you could look at if you wanted to. A survivor is someone who was once a victim like you, and through time and healing was able to move forward. That's Karen Williams, The People versus Kashmir. Look into that if you would like something to read. Here's a good one too. The truth is that being a survivor often simply comes down to being alive, being your own star witness to the ending that is always inside you, and being considerate to all those who came before. That's deep. To even be here, you had to be strong. I'm pretty sure there were days you wanted to give up, and something in you, for whatever reason, said, not today. Fight. You can interview men and women, because remember, abusers are not always men. Survivors that deal with cancer, battle cancer. And let's not forget our fallen victims, our fallen survivors. They won, but not here. I think about the people who paved the way. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever your battle is, think about the shoulders you stand on. For every person that got out of a domestic violence relationship, situation, circumstance, and you're able to recover, no matter how hard it was or is, and you're able to get out. Think about that woman, that man that wasn't able to get out. Let that be additional strength for you, additional fuel for your fire. For every cancer survivor, think about that man, woman, boy, or girl that didn't make it. Treatment didn't work, or their body just couldn't take it anymore. And you're here. You're surviving. They came before you. For all my recovering folks that were battling addiction for whatever form, think about the people that lost the battle. So you're not fighting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for yourself all the time. And let me be clear. We're all attached to somebody that we hold the other end of the loop. Some days you're going to be down on the mountainside and you need that pull to get you out. And some days you're going to be on top of that mountain and you're going to need to reach down and pull someone up to get them out. And sometimes it's not a physical pull, physical reach. It could be your verbal. It could be what you hold inside you as a survivor that can get that next person out of that mode of becoming a victim so that they too can be a survivor like you. There are so many people that walk around smiling and laughing that ain't always smiled and laughed. Hiding black eyes and bruises, wearing long sleeve shirts and pants, hiding track marks from drugs, or putting on things where you can't see that they have to have a bag or whatever that looks like. I thank God you're here. And for every person that lost whatever battle, I can only hope that they know that they were victorious. And they fought. They fought a good fight. They may not be here in the physical, but they'll always be loved and remembered. And for those of you that may be hearing this and you are a victimizer, I hope that you can get some help. I'm sure you didn't grow up wanting to be an abuser. I'm pretty sure. It's a taught behavior, learned behavior, whatever psychosis you want to psychologically break it down. I pray for you too, that you can stop being an abuser, whether it's a physical abuser, a drug abuser, emotional abuser, verbal abuser. I pray that you stop, that you seek the help you need, because you know it's not right. Maybe you grew up in a household or knew of someone you loved and respected and cared for that did that or was a victim. And you saw it as a way like, well, it worked in our house. Or a lot of times, that's why I try to tell people, you gotta be careful what you do in front of your children or those that look up to you. Because they'll say, well, if it worked for so-and-so, it might not be that bad. That's because a lot of times we walk around in victim mode pretending that it's all good. And it's not. We have to live in our ugly truth sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And we have to have that moment where we realize that nobody deserves to be hurt or a victim. We're all survivors. We're all winners. There are different type of races that will run every day. Decide where you want to come in. The reward is bigger than you and I could even imagine. But we have to start training to be better people, to do better things, to make better choices, so that we could be exactly who we were meant to be. We weren't put here to destroy each other. It really breaks my heart to see how much murder is happening, how drugs have filled our neighborhoods and communities, how these weapons and just ignorance just fall into the lap of children and ignorant people who have no business with them. But I want to leave you with this. A survivor is someone who pretends to be just like everyone else, but they're not. There will be days where you will break down, and there will be days when you will lift up. Ecclesiastes said it. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. It's one of my favorite. I should know it by heart. One of my favorite books in the Bible. I love this one. And I have a friend I call my sister. She used to make fun of me for this scripture, but I love it, and I think I love it because it really says everything I feel. That's my personal opinion. So Ecclesiastes 3:1-9, and I'm gonna leave you with this. It says, "A time for everything. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. What gain has the worker from this toil?" That says it all, I feel. There is nothing new under the sun. I know you've heard that. But we got to do better. But there's a time for everything. It's a time for everything. And the time to end domestic violence, the time to find a cure for cancer, a time to put more programs into play, build up centers and places where people can go get help is now. We got to do better because we know better. So I thank you for tapping in for this Tap In Tuesday. Remember that you are a survivor because you are supposed to be here to do great things. Does that mean that your loved one, your friend, your relative, someone you know, wasn't a great person? Didn't have purpose? No, it does not. We don't know the minute, the second, the hour, the reason, the who, why, when, where, how we're going to lead this life. We don't. All we can do is worry about what we do today. You're not broken. You're a survivor. Remember that. I'll see you soon.